So, back in 2010, Minister of Transport, the ministry, had a plan to redo about 1,200 kilometers of road in this province in concrete. Why concrete? Well, it's much more durable, and we know the problems we have with roads here in Quebec. We just can't seem to get asphalt right in this province. So they said, hey, let's think outside the box. We're going to do these roads in concrete. Well, that was 2010. The idea was 1,200 kilometers in concrete. And we're almost a decade later, and they've done 26 kilometers in concrete. With more on this, go to Robert Libman, an architect. You probably know him as a former MNA and also a former member of the Montreal Executive Committee responsible for urban planning. Robert, how are you?
Good morning, Elias. Very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's great to talk to you. I know you are committed and passionate on this subject. So we wanted to talk to you about this. If concrete is such a good solution for the woes we have here in Quebec, why aren't we getting the job done more?
Well, it's not only concrete. Concrete is a little bit more expensive and a bit noisier, but it's certainly a lot more durable than regular asphalt. And you would think that municipalities or ministries of transport would be thinking long-term and certainly using that material to last longer. But there's also other things that are very disturbing. You know, the technology exists today to produce almost an indestructible asphalt that's immune to temperature variations. And elected officials continue to tolerate the status quo. I've been working with a few chemical engineers who've been doing some research in the modification of polymers within the bitumen or within asphalt, and it can last up to 8-10 times longer. But for some reason, the asphalt industry, and when I say for some reason, I'm being a little bit sarcastic.
Yeah.
For some reason, the asphalt industry is resisting research and development into this product. And one can only assume that, you know, this is a cash cow for many in the industry. You fix a road, you resurface a road, and then 2-3 years later it has to be repaired, replaced, or redone. You know, why would the asphalt industry have any incentive to push the research and development envelope to be able to do something more durable if they've got these very lucrative annual contracts? I think it's up to elected officials, politicians, to really put their foot down and say enough is enough. Taxpayers can't afford to be fleeced like this constantly.
But if the solution is there and politicians aren't putting their foot down, obviously, where my mind leads to is, okay, the fix is in. There's something corrupt. There's something happening here. Am I wrong for my mind wandering to that direction?
Well, you're not wrong for your mind wandering in that direction. Obviously, I think that's the logical leap one has to take. It doesn't take, much analysis when you cross over the border into the United States or Ontario and you see the difference in our roads. There's something going on here. Our roads are in miserable condition, and something's got to be done. And, we have very strong unions in Quebec. We have very strong industries that resist change at times, and it's a question, municipalities are facing severe cash crunches over the next number of years as far as being able to provide services and repairing our crumbling infrastructure. So some solution has to be found, and for some reason our politicians are not putting their foot down on this type of thing. We've seen in the wake of the Charbonneau Commission some changes in the way contracts are awarded. In fact, public contracts and tenders for many things now call for confirmation of the probity of bidders. The bidders cannot have been charged or with an infraction or a criminal act over the last 5 or 10 years. I think the provinces and the municipalities should put a certain clause within their contracts to ensure that all public contracts for road work be given out with stricter guidelines for standards of quality of asphalt or quality of the application of asphalt. It's not being done. Someone has to do this because it just doesn't make any sense for nothing to be done.
Journal de Montréal has done some pretty extensive journalism over the course of the last month looking at the state of the roads. Today, the story is the whole concrete thing and how we just haven't followed up with our plan. But one of the things we talked about on this show was this story that, we want to compare ourselves to Vermont. We want to compare ourselves to Ontario. At the end of the day, in Vermont, they spend $16,000 per kilometer to build roads. We spend $8,000 per kilometer. Isn't that, boy, there's your answer right there?
Well, perhaps they have the means to do so, to spend more money. Spending money is one thing, but if you're not doing it with the proper procedures, the proper products, and you can make improvements to the procedures and products. That's a way for municipalities to square the circle, to do things more effectively and more efficiently. Our blue collars that are applying asphalt don't understand that there's a major difference with variations in temperature and how you apply this material.
But that just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense. There's something wrong here, right? There is. That's why I say, well, the fix is in here, because it makes no sense that the Ministry of Transport would even accept a contract that doesn't have, thicker asphalt. I think that we learned that in the last month. Like we're putting down thinner asphalt than our neighbors, and that leads to crumbling roads. Like
thinner asphalt, and the composition of the asphalt can be modified. The technology exists to do so, that it becomes virtually indestructible and immune to temperature variations, and that's something that's not being done. I know of many researchers who have been working on this for various universities over the past number of years, and they're running into roadblock after roadblock, pardon the expression, in trying to get funding for it, and some of the roadblocks and opposition comes from the asphalt industry itself. That is, I don't know, the public has to be screaming from the rooftops. I know we bitch about it all the time. We talk about the quality of our roads, but there's not enough of an outrage, and I think that's what has to happen. Some municipal jurisdictions or Transport Quebec jurisdictions have to wake up and recognize this issue and address it head on. And no one seems to have the guts to face the unions or face these powerful industries in Quebec sometimes, because the backlash sometimes is severe.
What's incredible, there's not enough of an outrage. That's something you just said. That I'm like, I can't think of things that get people more upset in this province than the state of the roads. It's a national pastime complaining about our roads. I don't know how much more upset we can get.
Well, I don't know if people get this. People grumble and complain about it and bitch about it, but it just doesn't. It's not sexy enough to make the headlines, like the identity issue, for example, or other debates about the future of Quebec or the language debate. But this is something that affects us on a daily basis. Every day, you're driving down Côte-Saint-Luc Road, or you're driving on Décarie. You're avoiding craters or cracks in the road. It's more dangerous than drunk drivers sometimes, or people texting. You see people in front of you trying to avert potholes. It's dangerous to the public, and we've got to see someone stand up and face this.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of Décarie, the boulevard, not the actual highway, not the 15. They just repaved certain portions of Décarie, the boulevard, and what a difference it makes. It actually helps the flow of traffic because you're not dodging potholes the whole time.
Exactly. It's a security issue. It's a question of public finances, being able to afford to maintain our infrastructures. But as I said, the technology is there, and for some reason there's a strong opposition, a strong lobby, and one can only speculate that this is a cash cow for a certain industry, and there's going to be opposition there.
Okay, so we have to go all network on this. We're mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore? Is that?
I'm right, yes. That was a great movie, by the way, and that certainly applies to this issue. There's no doubt.
Robert Libman, thank you for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it.